The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host/guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any of BXR entities and those they represent.
Hey, what's up, people? Welcome to the Artist Exchange radio show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. And I just keep forgetting to mute my phone, but we're back now. I'm really excited. Hey, Max, I see you on. Today we have our last show for May, and our last show in the series of Ain't That the Gospel Truth. We have one more of our awesome artists that will be performing on that play, premiering May the 20th at the Historical Theater Arena Players. It's directed by Katrina Jones, and I am one of the interviewers that will be in the play, and the gentleman that I have with me today, Mr. Anthony Brown, will also be one of the singers and performers that you will see in that production. This is a different type of performance. If you've seen a play like maybe After Midnight, it's kind of in that style, like a jukebox type of play. If you know the Red Velvet Lounge, it's that type of production where you see a little performance, a little interview, a big performance and a little interview. And we'll be doing that. And all this month, if you go back to our YouTube page, Big Exposed Radio, or the Artist Exchange, or Big Exposed Radio's Facebook page, you'll be able to see that. The past interviews with a number of the guests that we've had on throughout the month of May. April. May is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be featuring some new artists that I'm working with in a project with Baltimore's Black Arts District. I'm partnering with them for a monthly series called Black to the Future. It's a networking slash workshop series where we bring some valuable tools and lessons to artists, entrepreneurs, and the community at large that are looking to become artists. It's for business owners mostly, but anybody can definitely come. There's some great networking that happens, as well as a great workshop led by a community member in various fields. We have funders. If you're looking for funding for your business, it's a great space for you to gain funding or learn about some funding sources. I've met some great funders and some individuals that we'll be bringing down. And then the workshop itself falls right smack in the middle of the networking event. We're at a new space right off of North Avenue called Be More Green. That's BEMORE, second word, green. And it's a kind of a vegan, vegetarian market. It's developing into that. It is also an art place for a local artist called Shawana. She's a visual artist here in Baltimore as well. So we're helping you get funded. We're bringing you some great resources, and we're allowing people to come and network in the space and just meet each other, do business. I've met plenty of artists, and we'll be actually interviewing them throughout the month of May. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited about what's coming up. I'll be working with Arena Players shortly. And I can't really say what I'm gonna be doing yet, but just know that you'll see me at Arena Players for the 69th season. We're currently in the 68th season. We're finishing that out. And the 69th season starts in the fall of 2022. So just look for me and I'll be there. I'm currently working something else with Arena Players coming this November with director Troy Burton. I think you all can see it. I got a little light in front of me. You thought I was him, directed and conceived by Troy Burton. This piece is the prequel to A Real Nigga Show. And I am working in the capacity of the production manager. I'm doing a lot of the media work, some of the social media, and a little bit of the community conversations we have it. And we also have a podcast attached to that. That is a short-lived series for a podcast. It will be ending around September, October, as we move into the final stages of the rehearsal process. And it's been used as just a marketing tool to let people see the behind the scenes. It's a different way of marketing and promotion for theater. And I'm glad to have helped ignite that. So shout out to the writers and soon to be techs and actors that are a part of this project. We're currently in the writing phase as well as the community conversations. We have them once a month. We do the podcast once a month, the third Monday of every month. We have the next one coming up. It will actually be on the 9th of May, a little bit sooner than normal. For May though, and we'll be interviewing all the writers. We have some phenomenal writers on our team. If you are familiar with Mama Jackie Terry, she'll be joining us. Easy Jackson, Derek Chase. We got Sheila Gaskins. We got Troy Burton. We have Tracy Jiggets. Just to name a few, and we'll have a few contributing writers as well. But those are our principal writers, and you'll get to meet them on May the 9th. Just go to the Artist Exchange YouTube page or Facebook page, and you'll be able to see it. Or you thought I was some Facebook page, and you'll be able to see it there live as well. So I'm really excited about things coming up. I have some projects that I'm doing here in the studio. Every Saturday, we do a pop-up shop at the Vashti Blue Jewelry Studio where we feature a different group of artists, even an individual artist or a group of artists. This weekend, we have Jay Nicole. She actually does the teas that you may be able to see behind me, directly behind me. And she'll be doing a tea tasting. And then we have another young lady, Diane Davidson, and she is a beadwork jewelry designer as well. And every week, we also feature at least one other artist. So come on by 1734 Maryland Avenue, and we'll be here. And we're typically here Monday through Sunday. The hours are slightly changing. After taking a year off from teaching, I have gone back because of popular demand. We're hemorrhaging a lot of teachers. So if you know a teacher, reach out to them and tell them that you love them, that they are appreciated, buy them dinner or pay their cell phone bill, do something, because our school system is losing teachers on a weekly basis due to COVID, but a lot of changes, a lot of restructuring is happening, and your students are losing great and valuable teachers and educators because of the system and the politics in the system. So go to your local school, go to your local PTA, go to North Avenue and complain because we are losing teachers more so than ever. I was only coming back part-time, and I decided to come back as a substitute just to give myself some pacing. And I've been pulled in to be a full-time fourth grade teacher because we are losing teachers so much. And since I was already in it, I don't like to quit. But so I'm hanging in there, and we only have 30 more days. A lot of our students are so far behind because there wasn't proper guidance from either side, parents or the educational system, and getting them through this virtual learning and now getting them transitioning back into classrooms full time after a year and a half of class time. So please, if you have a student, please just stick your nose in. I know a lot of schools aren't letting parents come into the building right now, but we still have to do our due diligence. There's still phone calls and emails that can be made, and many of us can meet you outside, really. Uh, but we have to, get this back in order. Our students are on the extreme of focus. We have students who really are excelling, but we have even more that are far behind. And that's only because we're losing teachers. So the rotation of teachers is causing them to only get busy work. So they're not really learning the skill sets that they need to matriculate to the next level. So a lot of school systems, districts are having to really drive home in these last few weeks of school a lot of things that should have been happening over the course of the school year. So just pray for me. Even after going through this week, I am exhausted. Um, and I know many of the teachers who have been here the whole time are exhausted. But just know we're losing teachers on a weekly basis. They're leaving Friday and not coming back on Monday. And it's just that simple. So reach out. Next week is Teacher Appreciation Week. So reach out to the teachers and really give them some love and show them some love. And like I said, buy them lunch, pay their cell phone bill. If you see them going and paying the toll, pay the toll for them, something, you know, just a little appreciation goes a long way because we don't get paid for the amount of work that we have to put in. And they got me learning what's that common core, and my mind is about to explode. I can only imagine how these children are feeling, but yeah, we're getting it done. But please, and if you are retired, they are looking for substitutes right now, even right now as we speak, to finish this year out and to go into next year because of the amount of teachers that they've already lost and they're currently losing. So definitely all next week is teacher appreciation, so reach out to them. And I think that's most of the good news that I have for you. If I have any more, we'll do it at the end of the show. But without further ado, I want to welcome on my guest who's been patiently waiting, Mr. Anthony Brown.
How are you, sir?
Baltimore. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Doing great.
Doing great, great. So we can start off by introducing you. I met you at rehearsal for the first time, but I knew the voice right off the bat. If you caught the subway at all, or you tuned into, I think it was Maryland Public Access, you were able to see him interviewing a number of individuals from the MTA system, from the city, transportation authority, so on and so forth. But I knew the voice right off the bat. He's gotten a little slim on us, so you may not recognize him, but you're definitely going to recognize the voice. But let us know a little bit about you. Who are you? What you do? All of that.
Well, I appreciate being here, and hats off to you. You have a lot going on. You have a lot going on. So we bless God for all the difference that you're making. I'm Anthony Brown. You said my name. You went way back. I did spend 7 years with the Maryland Transit Administration, and I was director of marketing, customer services, and communications. And in that role, I hosted a television show and was as I said, the spokesperson for the MTA. I'd like to say that was another season of my life, and I guess it was because I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore, but I took a great deal of pride in doing it. I really enjoyed doing it. And for the past 21 years, I've been the marketing director for my church. And my church is Morning Star Baptist Church in Woodlawn. Shout out to Morning Star and my pastor, Bishop Dwayne C. Debenham, our First Lady, Lady Carla Debenham. So for the past 21 years, I've been on staff at the church handling the marketing and promotions for the ministry. And once again, taking a great deal of pride in that role. And in addition to that, and this is what kind of makes me, I guess, an artist. I sing, and I've been singing primarily gospel music for the past 40 years.
Okay. In terms of theater, is this your first time doing a show at Arena Players?
It is not.
Okay.
Got exposed to Arena Players, I guess it was maybe 3 years ago when Tamba Giles invited me to be a part of a Christmas is Coming Uptown production. And while I had heard of Arena Players, I think in my 60 years of life, I had to have gone there for a production. I didn't have a lot of intimate knowledge about Arena Players or the concept of community theater.
Okay.
So Tamba invited me to be a part of Christmas is Coming Uptown, and I absolutely loved it.
And if you don't know Tamba, Tamba is Baltimore's own Luther Vandross.
He is.
If you didn't know.
Yes, exactly.
Extraordinary musician and music director.
All of the above. So he invited me to be a part of that. I loved it. And so I've hung around for the past, I guess, 3 or so years. We did another run of Christmas is Coming Uptown. So 2 of those. I was a part of another production, Cleveland, which was that Tamba directed that one and starred in that one. And now Katrina, who I met through these productions, invited me to be a part of the Gospel Truth. So it's my 4th one. I'd done some theater and things like that before. I even did an opera once with my singing. So, but I've been kind of focused in on it for the past 3 or 4 years, and I'm really enjoying it.
Okay. That's awesome. I'm always welcoming and glad that people, however you get introduced to it, but Black theater is a staple. It is a need and a necessary space because many, like the church, is a space for many of our artists. Their training grounds. If people don't know, Oprah came through Arena Players.
Wow.
Jada Pinkett started out in the youth theater of Arena Players. Monique started out, her stage started out at Arena Players. So they've had plenty. Most of the people you saw in The Wire or Homicide, many of the things that you hear got their start or at some point was at Arena Players. So we're always welcoming to people. And once you're family, you're always family. So
yeah, I appreciate that. And I am, so I'm thrilled to be a part of it. And I regret not knowing it sooner, but I'm so glad I know about it now.
And it's been a hidden secret here for a number of years. And because of all the people who have come through it, it needs to be a push for a lot of those people to come back or at least begin to speak its name because it's actually in its 68th year right now. And it's at the end of this year, it'll be the 69th season that it will be in existence. And it's, it's the oldest continuously operating black community theater in the United States. I think community theater in the United States.
Yes, that's what they
definitely has to be, and it's just starting to get its just dessert. So in the next year to 3 years, you'll see a big change there in terms of what it looks like, the facade, inside. Even going into the next season, you'll see a lot of changes. Even this season, if you come and visit, you'll see they have a new black box space that is now where we're rehearsing on the 3rd floor. Katrina says Tracy Toms of 911 also appeared on Arena stage. Yes. Go back. Tracy Toms. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited for this. I haven't been on stage since the pandemic started, and that was with our illustrious director as my wife and Pearlie, as Get Low. And that's the last time I've been on stage. I've done some virtual performances, but that's about it. How have you, transitioned? You're in an office type setting, but how have you transitioned?
Well, I was honored. I mean, I guess we're still in the COVID pandemic.
Yes, we are.
As we started to come out of it last year, we did do the Cleveland production. We did do another run of the Christmas is Coming Uptown production, and it was well attended. So I've been able to do that, and I've been able to still do my music. I've been singing at my church, of course, working at the church. I gotta sing at the church and I work at the church. And I'm really excited. Even within the past month or so, I actually even released some new music. I released a new song just 2 weeks ago, with the week of Resurrection. I recorded a song and it's out there on iTunes and things like that. So
it's speaking of the recording aspect of who you are. How long have you been a recording artist?
I think I released my first cassette. So I'm going way back now. I've released my first cassette in 1991. It was 91. Whew. So I think it was 91. So that was a cassette. But CDs, I released a Christmas CD in 2006. 2006, I released a Christmas CD, Dreams Come True This Christmas. It was almost the fulfillment of a dream. And since that time, I've released another 4 or 5 CDs over the past 15 or so years. And I've been singing, as I shared earlier, for about 40 years. I started on my college gospel choir at Towson University.
Towson, we'll forgive you. Sorry.
Yeah. Towson it is, Towson it was.
So in terms of being a recording artist, what have you done with it outside of course, you've sold music, you've toured and done music, but why was it never your full-time profession, or has it been, rather?
Wow, that's a great question. Why has it never been my full-time profession? I guess I sat in this seat. I remember years ago, I went to a seminar Lee Michaels was doing, and he talked about, you have local artists, you have regional artists, and you have national artists. So and he said you got to decide which one are you going to be. I don't know if I personally ever decided, but let's suggest God decided what I was going to be, because I didn't not want to be a national artist, and I still don't say even now I don't want to be a national artist. Those particular doors just have not opened for me. Have I knocked on some of those doors? I have, but they just haven't opened. So I was blessed to be able, when those doors didn't open, it didn't mean I couldn't write music, I couldn't release music, because what you saw happen 10, 15, 20 years ago is people started releasing their own music. So you didn't have to be
independently.
Yeah, you didn't have to be Capitol Records, or you didn't have to be with Motown or Atlantic. You could be a local or regional artist, and you could get a CD produced, you could get a song produced, you could get it, maybe not so much on the radio, but in this digital world, you could get it out on various platforms. So I wouldn't say so life, or I'll say God determined this path for me, and I've ridden it as faithfully and as passionately as I can. And I've sung all over the world. I've sung with a Catholic choir where each summer I went away to Europe and sang. I did that for about 6 years, and I've traveled throughout the United States singing. Of course, I've kind of immersed myself here locally. So I'm grateful for what I've have been able to do. Are there days when I maybe ruminate over what I haven't done? There are, because I'm human. I think we're all human. But, I go back to, I'm grateful to God for what I have been able to accomplish.
And a couple things. I remember one of my professors telling me, as I wanted to, get out there and be a theater actor, you can be an international artist from any address. And that has
that's great.
been that has rang true for me because I've met. I just recently interviewed Mesa, and she reiterated the same thing. You can be international. We know she's traveled the world, and she
Yes.
lives right here in Maryland. So
Yeah.
you definitely can be an international sensation from anywhere. But in today's world, you could be an independent artist and be charted and win awards and
Yes.
and be on the top 5 whatever.
Yeah.
Look at CC Wanda. She just swept the Grammys in the
Yep.
gospel section.
At age 58.
Yes.
There are days when I say to myself that my best days are behind me.
Mm-hmm.
But like Cece at 58 years old, she just swept the Grammys in the midst of the youth
Pandemic.
culture, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So that's amazing. My newest song, I recorded a version of the classic song Hallelujah. I recorded a version of that. It has the most views on YouTube. The video has the most views on YouTube. Video and the single that just came out for sales on iTunes. It's like the most viewed song I've ever done. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been releasing music for I guess 15 to 20 years. It's the most viewed song I've ever done, and I'll turn 60 this year. So a few months ago, I was telling myself that my best days were behind me, and God he was saying it to me, he has reminded me, maybe your best days might be ahead of you. So, what's my background say? Your dreams matter and all things work together for those of us who love the Lord. And so, because, the reason it's so powerful, Nate, is because persons are listening to your show. And you talk about
really, well, I appreciate that from your mouth to God's ears and their pockets.
They're listening to your show and they want to be in theater and they want to sing and and it's almost sort of like you experience the reality of it. A friend of mine said, one of the best places to be emotionally and mentally is in reality. And the reality of this journey is you experience a lot more closed doors than you do open doors.
Yes. I know that's true for the theater world. I mean, not the theater world, for the gospel world, because you all are used to being not necessarily underground, but you all have been touring artists.
Yes.
You all have been like the older soul and R&B singers. You all have been on the road forever. And so what a lot of these younger artists are now tapping into, a lot of you all have already been there.
I said so you have to ask yourself, what doors has God given me the key to that I can open with his grace and his power? I said to a young artist just this week, gifted young lady who sings, has had national exposure. And I said, how's your singing going? And she said, I want to sing more. I haven't done a lot. I said, you need to sit down and say, what are 3 things I can do over the next 7 days to sing? What do I have within my control? I know I might be waiting for this person to call me or waiting, but just think about the person who said to you, hey, can you sing for here? And then you didn't have time to call them back. Or it didn't work for your schedule, or that seemed like, I don't want to do, because, think about things you can do. And I say that to the theater major, I say that to the singing major, I say the person who wants to open a business, etc. Think about the things God has put within your control that you can do to make some things happen, because if you're looking for a closed door, they're so easy to find. They are just a phone call away, a closed door, so that's sort of my journey. And if God opens the door and I become a national artist, if he doesn't, I'm trying to give myself I'm trying to give God the same amount of passion and energy with whatever he does with me. So.
But you've traveled the world. I mean, there's no definition in terms of, being on a recording of major record label or having the top manager. That doesn't make you international or national artist. Your work, the sales do. When someone has watched you from another country or you traveled there to perform and then paid, that is what qualifies you. And I've had to, as I am getting older, I'm realizing, I have to create my own metric system of success and not put myself in a space of what made someone else, what someone else thinks.
That's true. That's great.
Is, because you'll drive yourself crazy trying to keep up with a trend that nobody is keeping up with. Everybody has the appearance, but most of us are struggling artists that are just trying to keep it moving and pay the bills for the next month and in succession. But
Nate, you said it so well. We'll try to keep up with the appearance, and we all learn, and that appearances can be deceiving.
Yes,
we don't know what it took for somebody to get there. We don't know what it's taking for them to stay there. The sacrifices. So appearances can be deceiving. And I like what you just said. So God gives us the ability, and I just, with his grace, with his wisdom, to create a metric system that doesn't look like what the world says it looks like. It doesn't look, because the world says the metric is I turn on the radio and I hear your song, or that's what the world says. That makes you success. But what do you say makes you a success?
What is success to you? For me, I've always said you can keep the fame. Just give me the riches. Just give me the money. But
that's good.
I really don't. Those things don't entice me.
Yeah.
The way I know some of my friends and my colleagues and people who have gone to school and other fellow artists, it doesn't entice me that everybody knows my name, and even in the business of doing shows and broadcasting, you want people to be in that space, but at some point you realize what's important to you and what really matters. Like a commercial break. We're gonna take a commercial break right now, pay some bills, and we'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Yeah, so my name is Tevin Brown. I'm 30 years old. I'm born and bred in Baltimore, Maryland.
30? Wow.
Yeah. I guess so. You're older than me, though, so,
Wow. I was congratulating you.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Well, I appreciate it. But yeah, I'm born in Baltimore. I'm a music teacher, so I teach music for a grade 6 to 12 at Ace Academy in Hampton. Yeah.
I'm gonna pray for you, sir.
Yeah, and I'm also a minister of music at Mount Hebron Baptist Church. I've been there for 5 years. And, in addition to that, I just do gigs from time to time. I have a band that I play with. And I also do some solo work. So really whatever comes.
And I first met...
Got it bumping. I get high, and you been heavy on my mind. Baby, you're too damn fine. I feel let me hit it one time. I thought if I can get that back, then I can find a way to make you mine. But you only fuck because I had drugs. I'm thankful for the drugs, so I just broke one out. I had to walk one out, just for a plea.
Hey, what's up, world? What's up, world? What's up, world? Welcome back. We're here live on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com, and now we're also BeExposedMedia.com. Take a look at our website. Check it out. We got some new stories up there. If you are an artist of any kind, send us in your music clips to info@BeExposedRadio.com. And also, you can send in clips of any not movies, any music videos that you may have, and we'll feature them as you just saw during our commercial break. I am glad today. So today is National Assistant Day, Administrative Assistant Day. So if you have an assistant, if you have a secretary, send them a Cash App, because I know you. If I'm just telling you, I mean you forgot that they're almost older. So Cash App them, send them some Grubhub or something special. So we're back here live on the Artist Exchange Radio Show. This is our last in a series of interviews for Ain't That the Gospel Truth, directed by Miss Katrina Jones at Arena Players, opening up May the 20th, Friday, May the 20th. It's 2 weekends of it. I'll be doing the second weekend. So come on out both weekends so you can see both shows with myself and another gentleman who's going to kill me because I forgot his name just that quick. But I'll send the information and put it in the description. So come on out, see us perform, all that jazz. And we got some great singers like Mr. Anthony Brown, who I caught at my last rehearsal, singing Hallelujah, correct? You have to unmute yourself.
Unmute myself. Yep, singing Hallelujah, my newest song. Yep, find it on iTunes. Find it on YouTube. It's Dr. Anthony Brown, Dr. Anthony Brown, song simply entitled Hallelujah. You can get to my artist page on iTunes, because we know it's another Anthony Brown out there too, who's a friend of mine.
Yeah, actually from Baltimore as well.
Therapy.
He's a singer
so
as
just
well.
add Dr. Anthony Brown in it. And I've had the opportunity to work with him. Knew him when he was a little boy.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then I released a hymn CD in 2008, and he produced 4 of the songs on that hymns. I did a Hymns for Him. Hymns for Him, HYMNS, for HIM, him, the Lord. And Anthony Brown, my friend, who I consider a friend, produced 4 songs on that CD. So that's out there too. On iTunes and also.
So why gospel music? Because most people don't look at gospel music as a vibrant genre, because they don't see you all working.
That's
and
good.
Typically, if you do one album, that lasts you all forever.
Yeah.
You can live on one album for years, traveling and performing.
Great question. I didn't anticipate that. Why do I do gospel? So it's when I'm an ordained minister. When you're ordained minister, they kind of ask you, why are you Baptist? So that's an ordination question answer. So this is it's, as a singer, why do you do gospel? So it's what I learned growing up. It's what I started with, gospel now. And it's just kind of where I landed,
Okay.
Now, and people who are listening who know me, I really sing all kinds of music. We do a benefit concert I have a nonprofit foundation that gives out college scholarships, www.dreamforit.net. You gave out a lot of information at the beginning, so I'm going to slip that out. That's a nonprofit, www.dream with the number 4, it.net, based on a song I wrote called Dream. 15 years ago, I started a nonprofit to give out college scholarships. To date, we've given out $210,000 in scholarships. So we're accepting applications right now. We're accepting applications right now. Go to www.dreamforit.net. So
I'm typing that in right now. I'm going
high school seniors, 12th graders can apply for our scholarships. We give out $20,000 to $25,000 each year, and we are fulfilling an endowed scholarship at Towson University. So www.dreamforit.net. Why gospel? it's kind of what I started, but I sing a lot of music. I was talking about the foundation. We do a benefit concert every year. It's been traditionally at the Gordon Center, and it's pop, R&B, and gospel. So I do everything from Stevie Wonder to, I don't know, Earth, Wind, and Fire, to the Commodores, to Roberta Flack, to Celine Dion. We do everything, but my crux is gospel. It encourages me. It encourages people. It tells the amazing story of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I guess that's why I love to sing it, but I love music. So that's why gospel.
It is, it's a thankless profession, just like having a leadership role in the church.
Yes.
Because many people, I know personally, being an artist in church, you can often be misused and overused and ignored even, outside of people needing you and wanting you for your talents. How have you gone through that, or how have you set the boundaries? And before you start, I'm sorry, Katrina said his name is Ryan Turner. It was in here, Katrina. This has been a week. So Ryan Turner is the first host of the first weekend, and I'm the host for the second weekend. So continue.
I was gonna. I really appreciate your questions. These are great questions.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say I might be a bit different.
Okay.
As far as my value, etc. So I was going to say I was going to use the word I was different, but I'm not really different. I'm like me. At 60 years old, I'm who God made me. I am me. So music for me, I've had the luxury of it hasn't been to pay my bills.
Okay.
It hasn't been, I'm singing at this funeral and what they pay me is going to put gas in my car.
Okay.
So that's been my journey, because I've always worked jobs throughout this journey, and I sang as an aside. Does that mean it hasn't taken money to go and sing and to do these recordings? It doesn't mean that, but it does. So I've been a little different, and I got such joy from doing it. Yeah. I got a high from being able to use this gift that God gave me to bless and encourage other people. So does that mean, Nate, does that mean, so you haven't been taken advantage of and people haven't taken your, it don't mean that. Oh, yes, I have. We all have. People, appearances can be deceiving. People see you singing somewhere and they think, oh, I know they gave you a bunch of money. The money, trust me, the money I got for that, by the time I drove all the way over there and did A, B, C, D, I ain't got no whole bunch of money. So yes, I've been taken advantage of. But for me, it hasn't been a thankless job.
Yes.
Because God gave it to me and I've freely given it away. And He's made the provisions for me to be able to do that. I mean, I work a lot. I do, I work at the church. I do other things at the MTA. I was working at the I was a executive at the MTA. So I made a great salary. Made a really good salary. So when I went and sang and when I went to Europe, I didn't make a ton of money going to Europe to sing, but I had vacation time for the state of Maryland. So my journey is my journey. It's a little different. But I empathize, because yes, I've been taken advantage of the job. I sympathize with other artists. It's quite a journey. We have to stay really connected to God. How have I done it? I don't know. I do a bunch of, hey, I'll put this out there. And I've done this a lot through my life. I probably needed to do it a lot more at some times, etc. I saw somebody had a sweatshirt the other day. Here's what I do. I pray, I talk, so I communicate with people. I'm a communications person, and I see a therapist who helps navigate me through feeling neglected and feeling, used and all that kind of. So I talk, I pray, and I see a therapist to navigate through all of this thing. So, the journey for me has been, I've made this music. I've been able to record these hymns. I've been, and it'll be here long after I'm gone.
Right. Right.
I mean, this may sound weird to people, but keep in mind, at 60 years old, I get to be me. I get like a high, like out of singing at people's funerals. If you can like minister to me on what is like one of the worst seasons in my life, I lost somebody in my life. Have I made like a ton of money singing at freaking Lord? No. No.
A good $30, $40, $50 here and there.
No, period. No. But I've gotten to like give somebody like a God-given piece of encouragement in that season of my life. And I'm different. I'm saying different now. My journey is God's given me a 9 to 5 to put gas in my car and then say, so go do that. Because I give you to give. I know there are people who are like, yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, where's the envelope they're supposed to be giving me? Where is it? I sang for this wedding, and yes, you get taken advantage because folk can be so weird, could you just give it to me? Do I have to walk up to you in the receiving line to say, do you have the money do I have to do that? So my journey has been my journey, but yes, I empathize and sympathize with the community of us. The community of us. Look at this. Look, we're talking about arena players. That's what we're here to promote. Ain't that the gospel truth? May 20th, 21st, May 27th, 28th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 27th, 28th, 29th. Look, they don't pay you to be in these plays at arena play, to go down there Thursdays and Saturdays from wherever you live for the gas and the time. It's community theater. You're donating your time. But once again, many of us are blessed that God has provided us with jobs, that we don't have to call people at arena players and say, oh yeah, I'd love to be in it, but you're going to have to give me gas money to get down there. The people who are, so I'm throwing out a lot, and I'm just kind of saying, because I think we have to be sensitive. Yes, it can be, we got to pull this joy from somewhere else. Because if you don't even try this, because I'm not sure, based on what we see from appearances tell some story. I'm not quite sure how happy. Look at Michael Jackson. He had millions of dollars, but his emotional and mental state, who would want that? Who would want to, in order for me to sleep at night?
Yes.
I have to have somebody administer this
drug
to, so I don't know, all I can talk about is mine. But I saw them. Yep, go on and ask for your envelope.
Yes, Troy, and I know that's Troy Burton. He said, "Go ahead and ask for that envelope."
Go, but be prepared for them not to give it to you, and you already done signed.
Honestly, my work now with the Artist Exchange is developing those platforms where artists, because for me, and it's been my tie.
Yes.
And it's been my struggle throughout
Yes.
all this, my back and forth, because I was brought up in church. So I was taught that your gifts are not something that you put a price tag on.
Yeah, and that's
And the blessings will definitely come. And I've seen that. But as a professional artist, I'm now learning that I have to put a value on myself. And it's semantics. And there are plenty of times when you give, and there's plenty of times for you to receive. Because I know that's pertinent on the other end of their comment. But who's teaching me that other side, really, in this moment? And not that we don't know our value, because we certainly do. Because if you ask us the amount, we're gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
But knowing what you can take, you may not be able to put yourself in the space of a church. Because I'm hearing you telling stories, and I remember being at AME conferences and standing in the back with, after I just did a play or I did some type of performance, and I'm waiting on somebody to bring me an envelope, and everybody, walking back past casually. And I'm having hey, how you doing? I'm Nate. I just performed. I'm looking for such and such and such and such. But that took me a minute to do that.
Yeah, it is.
But I was transitioning myself into being a professional artist, and you have to know that balance.
And I love it. Thank you, Mr. Burton, for your comment. Thank you, Mr. Nate, because we're showing all sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. There is a value to your gift. The nerve of us to minimize your gift. And this is why this is, because some of the people listening, they're the ones who perpetrate, who minimize the gift. Who say, come do this, you can do it, right? And you want to be there, right? And you want to be at the rehearsal, because the wedding rehearsal is and here's honestly, I've sung in so many weddings. I don't particularly need to rehearse to be in a wedding.
Right.
Just kind of tell me who the musician is, give me their number so I confirm my key. If it's like a real different song, I'll connect with them, might do something, might go meet with them, etc. But to come to see how people are gonna line up and for to drive all the way there for that too, I don't have to do that. I don't have to rehearse. I mean, I know. So people do that, and and then it's so well, I am paying you. What you're paying me is so. Thank you, Mr. Burton. Thank you, Mr. Nate, especially when you went back to that line. Yes, your gifts they do have value, but we've got to leave room for God.
Yes.
With that scripture that says, all things work together and we'll understand it better by and by. And I'll go back to my line. I talk, I pray, and I see a therapist. Because the therapist, yes.
Devin, who was on last week, he says a workman is worthy of his hire.
Yes.
That's a Bible verse right there.
Yep, exactly. So we covered that from all sides. And keep in mind,
it's more of a space of I took a spiritual gifts class.
Yes.
And in that spiritual gift class, I understood what I can do and what I can't do. I am not an usher because I'm not a people person. I'm not going to tend to your needs. I can't be the groundsman because I ain't cutting no grass. I ain't washing no toilets. I just know where my spiritual my spiritual gifts lie. And it's just understanding that, especially in this field where it can be a little thankless at times, you just know where the blessings pick up and where you need to pick up. And you understand that because God doesn't want any of us suffering or in dire straits. And he gives us all the tools that we need to survive. But at the same time, can I get that envelope, please?
Yeah, please. And Miss Brother Troy and the other person, and you live and you live and learn. You live and learn. I did something a few weeks ago. Person was sort of I'm gonna say you something that fortunately, getting that is not contingent on me putting food on my table.
Yes.
And that worked out well because I ain't got it yet. So we gotta, so we live and learn. And you know, and some of those persons who perpetrate that stuff, they wonder why people don't call them back and aren't as responsive when they need something. And it's sort of like, okay, well, you'll need me before I need you, you know, so fine, you know, because and let's talk about the reality of it, Nate, while we talk about, did people get mad at you? You know, like, you asked me to come here. You asked me to do this. You agreed that you would pay me. You mad at me?
You forgot. Then you forgot to pay me.
Yeah.
You remembered everything else, but then you forgot to do. Okay.
But what May 20th, 21st, and 22nd, May 20th, ain't it the gospel truth?
Ain't it the
May
gospel
27th, 28th, 29th, I'm gonna be at Arena Players, and I'm so excited. I was so excited to be in Christmas it's coming up town, hanging out with Tamba. I was so excited to Mr. Who did Cleveland? It was, what's my friend's name? He was the director. I can't remember it. I wish I could. Mr. Randy.
Oh, Randy, yes, Randy Smith.
Who gave me his presence was peaceful for me. I mean, in my hectic, varied life, rushing to Arena Players and just hearing his voice navigate us through the direction of Cleveland was God's gift to me. It gave me peace in my crazy week. So, and now I get to work with my friend Katrina, who's been patient with my crazy schedule, and be a part of this production. So,
right. So we're gonna take one more commercial break before our great guest has to go. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Can train and certify over 10,000 students in 10 years. We can renovate over 10,000 houses in 10 years. This is the Inner City Trade School Project, sponsored by Get With The Program. It's our time and it's our turn.
I feel like once we address the needs of the students, we can ensure that they'll be successful in the program.
The main idea is to know the safety of the program. And
Black Lives Matter? Yes. We're going to show you how much Black Lives Matter, because we have a solution to the problem.
This school will help change the mindset of our young Black men.
And that's what we're trying to do, bring pride back to our community.
Substance use, anger management, mental health.
So here at the Inner City Trade School, that's what we're trying to build. That's what we're trying to create, an environment for our people to thrive.
But yeah, so that's
I think the other thing we spoke on too was entrepreneurship type things, and I'm already in that phase where I do want to like do something on my own.
Yes, please.
And that brings me into the next thing where the next thing is short term, like the business consulting thing. That's gonna be long term. Like I want to do that up until retirement. Like I feel like I will take pride in that. I will enjoy it, and that will be something that I'll wake up in the morning and be like, all right, what's next? What challenge is next? Like, let's
love
go.
It.
So, the short-term thing is what I'm doing right now in my free time, and that I hope does become something, and then I can make it something, is basically like content creation in the gaming world.
Okay.
So, like how this is a live stream. I do game live streams where I just, like, you can say it, I play games and you watch me. That's it.
I love it. Listen,
it's like that.
Listen, I love it because I'm learning and I would admit, as a very ignorant person to anything techie, basically. And I mean to the bare minimum. Like, yo, I really should just have a flip phone or a beeper. Okay, now we don't have to have that look of disappointment, but moving on. So, like,
Hey, what's up? And welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. I'm your host, Nate. We have our great guest today, Mr. Anthony Brown. He's a performer in a production called Ain't That the Gospel Truth that will be premiering on May the 20th at Arena Players. Look that up. Go to that Facebook page, go to their website. We'll put all that stuff in the description section at the bottom. Tickets are on sale. Get them, book them out before the churches eat them tickets up. Because we have some phenomenal singers, including Mr. Brown. As we transition out, I want to say first, thank you for joining us.
Honor.
I have one more question for you. What advice would you give to your 17-year-old self? And what question would you ask to your 100-year-old self?
To my 100-year-old self, I would ask the question, here's what I'd ask my 100 self. Did you get the benefit? Do you feel you got the benefit of the mental and emotional work you did in your life? Do you see why the mental and emotional work you did in your life was so important?
Necessary.
And I hope I'd say, yeah, that's what got me through it. So do you see why the mental, emotional work would be important? What I'd say to the question, what is this? I'm saying
what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self?
Figure out you before you decide, before you settle with being someone else. Do the work to figure out what God is doing with you. Do the work, the mental work, the emotional work, the spiritual work, to figure out what God has put in you before you settle for being someone else, or take somebody else's journey of what you should do and what you should be. Do the mental and emotional work to figure out what God is doing in you. And notice it'd be mental and emotional questions and answers on both sides of it, because I'm convinced in my journey I guess toward the other side of the middle of it, that's critically important. So that's
life can often feel like a struggle between regrets and dreaming.
Yes.
And I'm looking at the banner behind you, and dreams matter.
Yes.
But often looking back and accepting the regret and being able to move past it and live through it, so you can live to dream another day.
Yes.
It's very vital. It's very important. And it's a space that we need to find ourselves in. So these questions I ask most of my guests.
I love that question. I'm writing it down because I'm going to ask people that.
But also use it as a maybe a praying prompt for yourself, or meditation prompt for yourself, or writing. If you're a writer, if you journal, it's great as a writing prompt because it tells you a lot about where you are. Because that struggle between regret and dreaming, it happens to us. At points of our lives, points of the day sometimes, where you figuring out, why am I sitting here in this middle of this 4th grade class when I said I would never do this again? But trying to figure those things out, but it gives you a lot of insight as to where you are mentally thinking at that moment. And sometimes we don't even know we're in that space of regret and dreaming, but we find ourselves there. But your advice, just like your question, tells a lot about where you are mentally now. Because a lot of us are looking forward, because that idea of there's way more years behind me than in front of me.
So Nate, you just said my line. That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying to my wife, to my daughter, to my brother, my sister. Here's what's becoming not painfully, very clear to me over the past 12 months, 18 months. I have more years behind me than I have in front of me.
Yes, yes.
I do. And that's right. Others are in different situations. Others are on the other side. But for me, I have more and I want the ones ahead of me that I have in front of me to be more mentally and emotionally healthy. I owe it to myself.
Struggle is going to happen.
Yep, and I owe it to God.
It's going to happen until we close our eyes. But how we handle it, how we respond to it, makes your life meaningful, makes your life peaceful, makes your life abundant.
Yes.
You know, if you handle those things and you listen to those cycles, and the last half of the show, I'm going to go over just where I'm at mentally. And literally in these last few days, sitting in that class, I'm losing my voice.
Wow.
Talking to children. And over the course of my career, being in classrooms, I have found myself preaching and lecturing students on behavior and the value of their lives more than I've actually instructed them on any essential art that I was teaching or now a course that I'm teaching. And it's really important that we self-examine those moments, because I found myself, why am I driving this home? And part of it was I didn't get that. You know, I didn't get that. Being a Black boy and Baltimore, it did not afford me for people to be concerned about my future, because they had already calculated it in their, projected measures of who I was going to be based off of the environment I have behind me, based off of the father and mother that birthed me, based off of the family members that I had. So I had to realize a lot of that goes into what I say to children. And sometimes I come off as that uncle who think they know everything or always telling you something. But I also understand that a lot of the things that my mother said to me are true to me now.
Yeah.
I'm older than my parents were when they had me. So a lot of the information that I have now is like, ugh, I'm glad I listened to some things, but I wish I would listen to all the other things as well.
Powerful.
But I thank you.
It's been an honor. What an honor to meet you and to hear about all you're doing. And I look forward to continued connections with you. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the rehearsals and learning more about you. I'm gonna go to your website and all. Man,
please.
Woo, yeah.
Please. And if you have any ideas, if you think of anything, don't hesitate to call. I'm a person that I don't try to be busy, but I'm a creative mind, so I don't like sitting still too long.
Well, and I tell you, Nate, we could do a whole nother interview. Look at what you're doing. We focused on the church and banklets, etc. We focused on that. We're going back into the educational system to teach fourth graders something by your own analogy is a system, is going to be a sacrifice, etc. And we know you aren't going to become a millionaire off of it.
Right.
We know they are, but something's making you do it. And so that's a whole nother interview, so so something's making you go even into that thankless place for this season to do whatever God's calling you to do. So man, I'm praying for you. I'll be talking to you.
Okay. I'll see you soon. Many blessings to you, and let people know real quick before you leave where they can find your music.
Yes. Okay. I'll give first. Remember my foundation website. If you're a high school senior, if you know a high school senior, they can apply for our scholarships. www.dream4it.net. Dream with the number 4it.net. That's how you find out all about the Dream For It Foundation. Find out about my music and my life at iTunes, Dr. Dr. Anthony Brown, Dr. Anthony Brown, Dr. Anthony Brown. Put that Dr. I do have my doctorate, but I don't want to brag about my doctorate. I just don't want you to mix me up with my friend, the other Anthony Brown. And Also, www.anthonybrownmusic.com. www.anthonybrownmusic.com. Be encouraged. That's all.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
So as we continue on, I appreciate you. That was our guest, Mr. Anthony Brown. And I'm not going to spend too much time here because I have to get some things in order for this weekend. Like I said, we have a pop-up shop this weekend, and we have some great, phenomenal artists. If you go to our Artist Exchange page or our Bash Top Blue Jewelry page, you'll definitely see that. You'll see that on there. The time is from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. We'll be here. Our artists will be here. I want to send, before I continue, my condolences out to one of the artists tomorrow. Her brother passed away, Joanne Wiley. Her brother, we just did a music video with him a few months back. And great spirit. He passed away in the last couple of days. So they're en route to bringing him back to Baltimore from California. And I just, as a friend of Joanne Wiley, I definitely want to send my condolences out, my deep condolences out. Another young man, he lost his life. Young man that I'm working on, You Thought I Was Him project, Easy Jackson, he lost his brother a week or so ago as well. This world not promised to us. So the idea that you may be young and you feel like you got more years ahead of you than you have behind you, tomorrow is not promised. Every day I'm speaking to someone who may be just contracted COVID or who just recovered from it, or speaking about somebody that just passed away. So despite what Fauci is being forced to say and what the media is now reporting, we're not through this. We're not over this. I keep a mask with me. I vitamin C-ing it up, keeping myself, busy, but definitely taking time to rest and distance myself from things that I'm uncomfortable around. And this pandemic has shown me to persevere, but definitely to put myself first. And I just told my friend Joanne, as she is in a very grave state after losing her brother who has meant so much to her, always doing and doing and doing and doing and not making space for you. Your cup has to be flowing over, and that is then what you give to people, what falls into your saucer. But this last week has been very trying for me, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and just being transparent. All the things that I put out there, I'm in the process of working through those things, so I don't speak on anything and I don't give any advice that I am not currently or in the past have had to deal with. Letting things go is hard for me, and saying no to things is hard for me because I'm used to being there for people. But I've begun to surround myself with individuals, and the spring cleaning not over. There's a couple more cobwebs and individuals that need to be dusted out and moved out and put into a place, because not everybody is expected or should be in your life for a lifetime. Some people are just there for a lesson, a blessing, or just a season. And that's not to say you use people, but you have to be more discerning and understand those places that people have in your life and the place that you have in people's life. Because sometimes we got to take ourselves out of things that we are trying to be, and that's friendships, that's relationships, that's business, that's all these things that we try to hold on to, and we see it slipping. I've misplaced my keys today, and I frustrate myself every time I do it. I'm like, oh, I'm never going to do it again. And I shackle myself to my keys, and I'd have put a wrist thing on it, I'd have put a clip thing on it. I have a place in my bag that I carry all the time for it. And then it's this one day where I just, in a space where I got to get out or wherever I'm at, and I leave them. So hopefully I left them in my classroom, and I'm hoping to God I left them there, because that's my keys to my life. But even in that space, I'm prepared, and I'm already doing plan B. I was able to, thankfully, the cleaning lady was here today, so I got into my office, and I'm about to work it out, getting back into the house. And right now, that's all I have to worry about. You know, before I had the station keys. Monty didn't hear that, but I had the station keys. I had keys to my mom's house. I had keys to this, and I still have those things. But it's, I'm not as attached to stuff, and I've never been that person. But I've allowed life to get me attached to things, and this is a life lesson for me. Stick to things. Not everything is for financial gain. Some things is just a lesson. It's an educational space. And I went through some emotions in the last month of April, as I this this whew, this time is trying for me. It's the moment where my dad passed away. It's actually his birthday, and his death was in the same week. Um, and tomorrow, I always remember the funeral date, uh, more so than anything, because it's moments away from my actual birthday. And I've tried hard to get through life, and ignore it. And actually, I don't know if I spoke about this quickly. I my aunt for Christmas gifted me this book, and this is one of them old school picture albums, and there are tons of photos that I never had of my father, because he died when I was really young, and she blessed me with a whole photo album. If you all could see, you all can see it. That was my dad. Um, I never really knew him that well. He died when I was in the second grade. And that's not enough time for any child to develop a relationship with a parent. And this book is just full of um, sad things. It's a few photos that you may see, where it's just a bunch of photos of him. And I'm in a space right now where, okay, I'm telling you all, this is him when he was younger. He was a little podcast. But it's definitely has been a space where I am trying my hardest to just grow and be more mature, and learn and grow and just do things that scare me. Um, Coming off of losing his mother, my grandmother, this this week. This is actually a photo of me. I can't show all of it, but some of my little funeral leave. This is actually at the funeral. I don't think y'all can see it. That's my Aunt Diane behind me, his older sister. And I'm so thankful to my Aunt Val for taking a moment to give me this, because it was something that in this moment mattered to me, um, especially over this pandemic, where I've been trying to write a book and tell my stories, and just be in a space of forgiveness and letting things go and learning how to deal with life. This is another photo of me, a little younger photo of myself. And these are things that we lost photos. This is my aunt. She's probably gonna kill me for showing these photos, but um, that's my aunt standing up, my Aunt Val, and sitting down, that's my grandmother. Y'all can see it. It's probably a little too shiny, but yeah, this photo has meant a lot to me. It has meant Whew, it's been trying, and it's really helped me to focus on some things that I want to get through in life. Being in this school system, I'm watching our children just drown. And it's a sad feeling. It's a sad thing to witness. And I don't want to make this a battle between educators or the school system and parents and children, but as family and community, we are making it worse for our children by not allowing them boundaries, by not teaching them boundaries, by not teaching them respect for all, not just a mom or dad, but all, because your children will eventually not be in your presence for moments or forever. And you're not always going to be there. And they can't go through life so hard-hearted. I'm in a room with fourth graders all day long, one class, and I'm watching young people really struggle to assert themselves and to be who they need to be, and in a space that's not really prepared for them. You know, I'm in this community and I'm watching the people outside as I leave and I come. I'm watching the environment inside, and there are tons of people who really care for our children, but there are a lot of people who don't. And sadly, some of them are in charge of their life, their futures, be they parents or educational system alike. And a lot of people aren't doing all they can do. And a lot of our children don't recognize what's good in their life. They can definitely recognize what isn't good, but they don't recognize love, compassion, boundaries, respect, self-respect. They don't understand example or mentorship because many of the older individuals have taken their hands out of it. And I know, especially in my generation, there isn't a big push for somebody my age to be a mentor. So I can only imagine the young people that's coming up behind my generation and the generation after that, and subsequently the generations after that. It saddens me, and it puts me in a space of not. One of the reasons why I don't want to do this, I did not want to do this, and why this is like, Nate, how long can you do this? Because it puts you in a space and an energy that is not conducive. When you get a phone call from a mother going off on you, and this is one of the reasons why I stopped. But it definitely is something in it, as our guest today, Anthony Brown, says, something in it. It's something that pulls you, that brings you to this space, because how the doors open for this opportunity to even happen were, it was it was a long space, but it was definitely a smooth space where, before I never even thought about doing it this way. But as challenges arise, I'm just gearing myself up for a long fight in the next month or so, creatively as well. And I didn't want the morale of the show to kind of go down at this moment, but it's definitely, it was pulling at me to say these things, because I don't really speak on a lot of stuff that I go through, because not everybody is praying for you, not everybody is supporting you, not everybody loves you. So I don't like putting information out there, giving people an opportunity to be messy and be, deceitful or all those things. But the enemy is raging in this moment. And I had that on my heart to say. I was meditating as he was saying that everything happens in its season and for a purpose. And I kept hearing the word necessary. I was listening to Fantasia's song Necessary and kind of meditating over that as I, before the show started, because it really, it was needed. It was necessary. I needed to bring my energy back, because the last 2 days have been off the chart. And then because of that, I have misplaced my keys, and I'm in a space of not even letting it bother me. And I'm gonna do what I need to do this weekend. There are plenty of things going on. There's a flower mart down at Mount Vernon at the monument. So go do that. I think that is this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Also, tons of art organizations doing things. Just go on Facebook and go to the event section, or go to the Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance. I'll be creating a web space very shortly. I'm actually in a program right now where I am developing an idea for a website, and I'm really in a space of launching that in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So look out for that. Not really gonna talk about it too much, not because I don't want nobody to know, but I'm doing the work. I'm doing the work. I'll also be, along with teaching, I'll be here at the studio, Shop Blue Jewelry Studio, 1734 Maryland Avenue. Right now, our hours are 11 to 7, Monday through Sunday. The weekday hours are going to change only because I'm back at teaching, and I'm tired, y'all. I am tired. I am spent. I am. Whew, child, I got on dress clothes right now, and I don't do well in dress clothes. I always feel like I got to do this, and I don't. But yeah, so come on by tomorrow. We also have our IMT ladies. They'll be doing their form of an open house simultaneously. So we'll have some victuals, we'll have some horse divers, some hors d'oeuvres, refreshments. And we have a number of events coming up in May. So May for Vashon Blue Jewelry Studio will be dedicated to the visual artist. So we'll be doing a number of visual artist type things going on. We have a sip and paint coming up, so look for that. The information will be posted tonight for that, the Eventbrite for that, and the tickets are $40. So come on out, support Bachelor Blue Jewelry Studio. We need you. We want you. We would love to have you. 1734 Maryland Avenue, Bachelor Blue Jewelry on Facebook, Instagram, the Artist Exchange on YouTube, Be Exposed Radio on YouTube, all that. And I'm gonna leave you all with two things. One, I posted on YouTube, Facebook, a message a couple days ago because I felt like people were being mean to each other. And I'm not a super sensitive person. I'm becoming more. So I'm allowing that motherly energy that I have in me from my mother, the Cancer, to kind of absorb. And I'm kind of on the cusp of Cancer, Gemini Cancer. So I have a little sensitivity in me, but I never let it show. But I'm learning to, and it can sometimes allow you, and just understand, because I don't want a lot of DMs. When I post stuff, it's just a lot of observation. Some of the stuff that I post has nothing to do with me personally, and sometimes it does, but I don't always need a emergency call when you see stuff. So the one thing is, it says, let's normalize being kind to each other. You don't have to love us. You don't have to support us. That means all of us. You don't have to agree with us. But when you come in contact with somebody, just be kind. I'm well aware and agree that no one owes me or anyone else, including me not owing you, a smile, a great personality, love, warm hugs, and despite me feeling deserving of all those things and more, despite how I am approached, I promise to every soul I come across, my kindness forever. That does not make me weak, passive, or afraid. I choose to be kind for my health and my sanity. And I was just supposing, I was shocked at really how many people responded to it, and the things that people message me, that sometimes people are going through and they don't want to always publicly profess it. But yeah, but just check on your children. check on your teachers. If your children are in a school system right now, and I know there's still a restriction due to COVID, and them trying to be protected because the virus is still it's raging right now, and we have a lot of students going home and that are out of school and that are on a weekly basis because of it. So, and there's no precautions. There's students who wear masks and don't wear masks. I don't think all the students have been vaccinated. So pray for your teachers. A lot of teachers have chosen, because of those conditions, that they no longer want to be in it. A lot of them are not even in the educational field anymore, but they're going for jobs and careers outside of it. So just pray for the school system, for students, for parents and teachers alike. It's tough out here. It's real tough. And I'm here to tell you, we got to move forward. We got to, get into some type of prayer or meditation. If you sage, if you say a little prayer for your neighbor. If we just pray for ourselves and our immediate neighbors, and if everybody did that, I think we'll all be better off. So the preaching is over. I'm really exhausted. I have to go take these slacks off and these Aldo shoes because I'm in pain or discomfort, uncomfortable, not in pain. But yeah, just pray for me. If you really a prayer, please pray for me. Pray for Be Exposed, Artist Exchange, across the board. Good prayers of just everything, abundance, consistency, and just a push forward for all of us artists and entrepreneurs out here just trying to get to the next month. And that's all we are. Again, shout out to Jay Nicole, or AKA Joanne Wiley, as she moves through her grief and her family moves through their grief. And shout out to everybody still holding on, still doing your thing. I have a ton of other announcements. Next week, we have a special guest coming. Not going to announce it yet, but it was based off a conversation about Baltimore. So stay tuned, stay locked in. I think we had a report. Lastly, the fight against crime in Baltimore City is getting a 7.9 million shot in the arm. What does that mean, Marnie? Are you there?
Hey, I'm sorry. I had to get my arm over to the button. That the federal government is giving Baltimore City Police a $7.9 million of more money to fight crime in Baltimore. And the real question is that the right action?
No.
Because why would you give more money to what they can't even do with the money they have?
But they need to put that money in mental health, so those things can be.
It is a portion of that going to that, but it's also going to them buying more equipment that they haven't used.
Right? Don't they have tanks and all this army equipment that was purchased?
So what are you upgrading? You haven't even used what you got because it's not necessary. When you finally get on scene, the shooting has already finished.
Yeah, I don't want any more. I don't want to see no more brand new sports car, cop car.
Yeah, because that doesn't help you with the investigation. No, and if you're trying to do that, look, what came to my head yesterday when I was thinking about this, and this is before this story even came out today, because we just posted the rest of the story on BigExposedRadio.com. But
I thought it was BigExposedMedia.com. Man.
Both. Thank you. And one of the things that came to my mind yesterday was, what happened to their scare tactic that they had in place when they installed all these cameras all over the city? What happened to that program?
Most of them randomly record, so they're not even continuously recording and saving.
So then part of the $7.9 million should be there to fix that problem, because this was supposed to be 24 hours of surveillance on each street corner.
And that's not happening.
It's not happening. We didn't want to. I remember the argument was we didn't want it directly pointed at our homes. That's why they chose the street corners.
Yeah, but it's something, and I've been in 2 situations where I watched somebody get stabbed and robbed right at the corner of North and Charles. And when the police got there, I asked them, I said, are the cameras rolling? And they said no.
What comes to my mind is, remember the lady that I had rode past that was sitting naked on the bus stop in 20-degree weather?
Thank you.
And the police
Brother
just kept
Gallagher.
riding past her, going inside the hospital, but never stopping to see what was wrong with this lady. But it was on their cameras. They caught that on the cameras because they shared the video of this naked woman walking back and forth in front of a hospital.
Well, I don't know if you know Mount Vernon, that happens a lot. So I mean,
it does. But my point is that the cameras caught that.
Yeah.
The Baltimore City cameras caught that.
Mm.
But don't catch the crimes that happen straight out in open in the middle of your streets. People running, shooting guns.
Well, it's also, and that's a little bit of the show that we're going to have next week as well. That's part of the conversation, because there are a lot of people that look like you and I who are fleeing to the county as the white people are fleeing back to the city subsequently. And that's their feeling. That's why people don't want to buy homes. That's why they're giving out $10,000 now for you to buy a home in the city for first-time home buyers, because people like us don't want to buy homes anymore.
But again, that's why I was like, is this a good decision for this $7.9 million to be going to the police instead of community development? Because that's where the money needs to go.
It's community development, but so prior to the pandemic, I was in a 21st century school, which is totally different than the school that I'm in right now. Totally different than the schools that I've worked in throughout the summertime as well. But I'm looking at a school that is in dire straits in terms of just the foundation of it, in terms of the supplies, in terms of these prehistoric, when I say these laptops that these children have are from 1989, they're from 1989.
Thick and heavy.
Thick and heavy and just dumb. That's all they can do is put one piece of software on it. That's why they can't do anything else on them, because they can't hold up. Like, not at all. And I want to speak because my laptop is like, boy, who are you talking about? But that's where that money could go to. I'm sorry. I'm tired of, and I'm thankful for Brandon Scott, because he has infused a lot of money in various aspects of this city. But I'm sorry, I know the 7.9 was outside of his control, but that money can go somewhere else. It definitely. I'm sorry, I don't.
And they leave. The article does say that they are leaving it up to him to choose where it goes, and that's what the article also explained, that part of it will go to the police. The majority of it will go to the police, and I just don't understand that. That's what I don't get. We do a budget every year. It's a budget for the police. I don't think they need any more money than they're getting right now. They already are overworked and have all that overtime money being paid out as is. Stop the overtime and use that money.
Yeah.
Because these people are being paid to do overtime and ain't fixing shit.
I just saw a new group of recruits riding through my neighborhood. I guess that's where they'll be, because that's what they normally do now. They do the ride-throughs, but it's hard for me to say that, because criminals, the people who actually are criminals, have taken advantage of police officers not giving a fuck right now. So they're definitely taking advantage of that. But I think the fire then needs to be put under the asses of the police officers who don't care. I had an incident maybe last year. I had a neighbor. He used to live in the basement level of the building that I lived in. And throughout the night, this nigga will kick open one of the doors, and it would just felt like a sledgehammer going at the doors. I called the police because, one, I can't sleep. Two, I don't know if he's trying to break in to harm myself or my neighbor. I call the police. They say it's nothing they can do about it. Unless he does harm or we see him breaking in somewhere, it's nothing we can do. Right, he has to commit and I was like, it's something you could do. Like, you could walk your ass down there and knock on his door and let him see your presence. So
that's why I said that the cameras were some sort of deterrent. If you knew you was going to get videoed in your actions, it was a deterrent.
And
what is going to be the deterrent if you get a new tank? What's the deterrent? You going to run your tank up into my home?
Right. But what are we worried about? I'm still puzzled as to what are we worried about as homeowners or renters, or what are we worried about them seeing? What are you really worried about them seeing?
And I hate the scare tactic though too. Not that 340 people, I'm just using that as a number, per year of the murders that we have, right? Mm-hmm. Not that that's not a number. It's a number. It's not a real big number compared to 600,000 people. But it's a number, right? But that's the scare tactic. It's 360. If you can only expect to see one person die a day for 365 days a year.
Right. But if they put the money, so one of the groups, I don't know if I'm still with them. One of the things that I've seen happen is this group, the ceasefire group that started, when we was like, okay, we'll see what they're gonna do. But really, those weekends, right? In the no shoot zones, well, that's still suspect because the people involved in that, have been spotted doing dumb shit. I'm not gonna put nobody out there, but I'm just saying.
I know what you mean.
But I'm just saying, like, if they invested in more programming like that, I think it would help because those people are actually connecting with community. Mm-hmm. The 300 Black Men, the Daddy Gang, those people are actually connecting with the community and have a relationship. But they're trying to recreate the wheel by investing millions of dollars into a police system that don't give a fuck. They don't even come out, or it takes them hours to come out when something happens if you're in a certain neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I'm lucky.
Which is why that house burned down two doors down from me.
Because they didn't come out. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. That's crazy. What did they think? It was a false call or something?
I called. It was like a call, not me, but it was a call every single day from somebody in this neighborhood about this house being used as a drug runner, where they were running drugs from. Mm-hmm. And they never came out and boarded. Baltimore City first. It's Baltimore City and police that are posed the problem because neither one of them came out to board this home up. Mm. The whole entire thing, it's abandoned. It should have been boarded up. The house next door to it burned down, which caused the other people to move out of it because they condemned both properties. They should have been boarded up. So they kept calling because they were standing out front of this home selling drugs real blatantly too, mind you. And everybody got like cameras on the front of their houses. So they were being recorded as they were selling their drugs. It was just very blatant. And one day they allowed an addict to go down there and use drugs and they burned the house down. Hmm. Oh, it's like now, a crap house. The house is worthless. Yeah. It's not even salvageable to be remodeled, to be renovated. They have to tear that down.
But that worthless house could have been your house. It could have spread. It could have spread that quick. Mm-hmm. And it's just, there's no, and a lot of, especially with the fire department, it's.
But my question would be, what equipment is there that you can purchase to prevent that from happening?
But I think that, like I'm saying, that money needs to be put back into the fire departments because some of them have been shut down.
Right.
And they really provide valuable, services. I remember calling them once because they had a program where if you call them, you could either go pick up a few smoke detectors that had the carbon monoxide attached to them. And I thought they was going to tell me they was going to mail it to me, or these 3 fucking fire department people just came in my house
and did the work.
Big burly ass man and did put it up. Mm-hmm. And most of those people, are volunteer fire workers. Like, that money needs to be put there so more communities could have a fire department. Mm-hmm. Like, and I know it's some that don't have one. Or like huge areas are being like the Mondawmin area and be on that whole Liberty Heights, Winds Falls area, Park Heights, run off of that one fire department that's up the street from Mondawmin. All those homes and schools and businesses in that area, and you got one fire department feeding them. I think the money needs to go back to them. They come out faster than they normally get to you before, when somebody's sick or something, they get to you before the police do. I think that's where the money should go. That's no police. I'm sorry. Not sorry.
I just don't think, their budget is their budget at this point. I don't think it needs to be increased. I think it needs to be, quite frankly, it should be decreased. But it shouldn't be no more money being added into this process of failure. No more money
is
should be
that-
added into this process of failure because money is not the issue
Mhm.
on why y'all can't investigate crimes that have already occurred. That's not the issue. You don't have a limited amount of time that you have to investigate a crime before you give up and move to the next one. That's not how it works. You work
to
the
be
case until you
honest-
can't work it no more.
To be honest, I feel safer with John Hopkins police officers in my neighborhood than I do with Baltimore City because I know they will be there. I know they will be doing their surveillance.
Mhm.
So I wish more communities had it like Charles Village has it, where we not only have our neighborhood association that I believe pays for a certain surveillance, but also the Hopkins police overlaps in my area. So I feel safer with them than I do our regular police officers that I see drive through and then do a couple circles and then I don't see them no more. So I suggest that they put about half of that into the fire department.
That's how I just trying to figure that out. Like I was sitting here thinking, even as you were talking, like who asked for more money to be wasted?
So what is the grant called, or was it what is it called? Not grant, but what is that? Is it like for infrastructure, or is it like what was it is intended, or was it just a lump sum given to the city?
It's a lump sum given to the city, but it says $2 million of it is to update equipment.
What equipment? What equipment are they updating? The cars? Are they?
But again, that's a budgetary
tires on
process.
cars?
If you're trying to update equipment, that's a budgetary process. You add that to your budget request. And when your budget is approved, that's when your equipment gets updated. This is not something that the Maryland should be passing down to them to update their equipment. To try to fight crime.
What are they?
To try to fight crime as it exists now. This is not the first year we've had a murder a day. This is not that. This is not that.
I mean, if the money is going to, like you said, the surveillance cameras and body cameras and training,
then that's something different.
That's something totally different.
But again, that's not the stopgap measure that's going to stop crime. Just because you train an officer, you give them the equipment. That's not what you're doing. That's not what's going to stop the crime. Finding out the root point of the crime. Most of these people are people that don't have no money that result to crime.
Showing them how to be more engaging. I think
right. But this bill is specifically to help them fight crime. That's what it says. Fight against crime.
So that's what I was saying. So what was it specifically used for? But that doesn't. No, I just don't. I don't.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
And us being on our level of watching what the city goes through. Crime is not our major focus, because that's not what we experience on a daily basis.
I really don't know what our major focus
and we are in these streets, but that's not our main focus.
But I don't really know what the cities. I know there's been a big push with our arts and culture and getting more diversity and inclusion training and all those things. But
if you ask yourself the question, what is, if you put yourself in those people that are committing crime shoes, what is their alternative? What is their alternative to getting money?
What I'll say is, if you look over the pandemic, there has been an upsurge of especially Black and women-owned businesses. So I believe if they continue to push in that way, and give out these, because I saw a lot of people who I know were dibbling dabbling in the drug industry. They now own a restaurant. They may own an event hall.
But that's potentially every drug dealer's mission is to go legit.
Yeah, but if you put more things in place. So I'm a part of a program now through GoDaddy. Now, technically, it's GoDaddy trying to sell services, but they're upfront paying for us to get a website, and they're giving you wraparound services and training, like the app that I use, Canva. They give you that for a year. They help you to get to the program. They're giving you things that normally cost you money as a business owner, and they're giving it to you up front. Now, on the back end, they want you to eventually have enough money to pay for their services, but up front, they're fronting a lot of stuff. The same thing is happening in the arts world. We have a Black arts district now. A lot of money was put into place to beautify Pennsylvania Avenue and that surrounding area. So those things I think are helpful, but you have to back that up with a police system that is going to be engaging.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want police officers just sitting in their cars. You know how they do the window to window. So
well, it says here, 650,000 of this federal funding will go to police training to enhance community relations.
Of the $2 million
of the 7.9.
So where's the 2 million coming from?
The 2 million is to go towards updating police equipment.
So they basically already.
But that's to go. Okay, so all right, that part. All right, let me tell you this part, because this part says that $2 million was already a commitment from the consent decree.
Mm-hmm.
So take that out, because that was already put forward.
Right.
Now that $650,000 was part of the new part for police training to enhance community relations.
But I don't want them updating equipment that's not going to be used for doing the fucking job.
Exactly, but if you notice and remember from the riots, equipment wasn't the issue.
Mm-mm.
Equipment wasn't the issue, because they came out guns blazing and tanks blazing and all kinds of equipment that we didn't even know they had.
Well, they had, but I knew that because we had did a show on that, because they were starting to. You would see the tanks in certain places, in certain city-owned like
blocking up, surveilling basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that we never thought of that existed.
Because they were being trained by actual military individuals at one point, and then we start seeing tanks and stuff like that in terms of equipment, because they got that stuff from our armed services.
Mm-hmm. That's how they get everything. Yeah,
but they sold themselves their own equipment. That's
hand me down. It's hand me down.
Yeah, but they still sold it to them. They still sold them.
Stuff the military was finished using was handed down to the states.
They sold, our tax dollars went to buying equipment that we had already paid
purchased, right? Mm-hmm.
That shit like that. That's where I'll be like, you want how much of my tax money? You want me to pay how much? See, we paying. It's like we paying double shit. So I gotta pay for it to be built. Then I get paid for it to get handed down to. That sounds crazy. It sounds like most.
Well, some of the projects that you named will be getting some of this funding too. So that's I guess that's some of the good side of it.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a balanced thing if this money is going to buy another sports car for Baltimore City Public. I said public schools, but police department.
Mm-hmm.
It's if I see another shiny 2-door coupe.
I've seen that one this past weekend.
Right, but they got nice ass cars.
Where you gonna put the criminal when you're arrested?
Yeah, exactly. He got to duck down and push the seat forward for you to get him in the car. Now he go kick you in your fucking face.
Right, so there's no cage that separates you from him.
Right.
Yeah.
But those normally have like a one person side to it, where they let them out on the passenger side or something. It's like one person. It's not like across the seat. So I saw in one.
Oh, I would die in that one. My claustrophobia.
No,
my claustrophobia would not have it. I would beat that whole entire side of that car up.
That's what I said. When he's trying to get you out, you will kick him in his fucking face. Now, how they gonna get you out of the coupe?
That's a fight.
They got coupes. They got. I thought the Escalades they used to have was something. They got the cars bigger than the Escalades now. What you need these big ass cars for? You're not putting nobody in the back of them. I don't know. That's the city we live in.
Yeah.
That's the tax money we pay. That's where my hard-earned money goes to.
But it's this, I'm just really sick of that scare tactic. Like you go outside and all of a sudden you gotta duck down because you don't know if you're gonna get shot before you get to your car. That's not what happened.
Right, and I don't see that. They're shooting each other. They're not shooting at us. Often we're the innocent bystander.
The bystander, somebody that's getting clipped by a bullet, but it wasn't intended for us.
Yeah, but that's why
but it's not like it's 24/7. It's not happening every single day, all day long.
But the one thing, so the show that I'm having next weekend, that's the conversation me and the gentleman are going to have, because his argument is county living is much better. But I'm trying to understand how it works for the county, but it does not work for us, because I know the same people don't live in the county, but it's still drug dealers that got a house or a home. It's still a crooked politician that's still got a home in the county. So I'm trying to wonder how.
Well, I guess the difference between county and city living is because you don't necessarily have to live on top of each other unless you're in an apartment building, of course.
Yeah.
But the spacing is different from in the city where you are like minutes. Yeah. You're a second away from somebody next to you, and that engulfed in crime. It can trickle, and then people not saying anything.
But they're
and all
making
that
it
kind of
worse,
stuff.
though. They're making it worse. Every time I turn around, it's a new condo. Across from where Sharon lived. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that? It's a new fucking condominium right there. I'm like, when did they build that? Like, what?
But those aren't even the good things to do, because those are they're priced out of everybody that lives here. People can't afford to live in those condos.
That's what's happening.
I want to.
But that was my point to the gentleman that I'm having next week. While we are starting to fly out into the county, they are flying back into the city. So how safe is your county going to be if the same element is being taken out there? They already started that process. That was years ago. Mm-hmm. And they've been getting a little bit more. I remember I was driving my friend's car. We was going out Towson, and I made a wrong turn. And I was like, oh, this shit is a hood in Towson? It's a fucking hood.
Oh, yeah, in those apartments.
Right. I was like, oh, shit, Towson got a hood. This shit is everywhere.
Yes.
But, I mean, I definitely think a lot of that money that's being earmarked for the police system needs to go to our fire department. I definitely do. I know a lot of firefighters who really.
When you say that, though, it reminds me of the show Station 19.
Yeah.
And the programs that they show on there that actually seem like they would be great programs if all fire departments would adopt them, right. Where they don't call when you call 911 and somebody's suffering an overdose. It don't go to the police. It goes to the fire department. Let them go out and do a little community check, basically.
Mm-hmm. I know, just talking about that one situation, it scared my neighbor. It scared me. Like, after they left, he ran upstairs like, is everything okay? Because they really came 3 deep to hang up 2 fucking fire detectors. And I was like, that's what y'all do? They was like, yeah, when you need one, we don't want to have to come out here when something bad happens. So
when the fire happens, right. They want to do preventative measures.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And look how many houses we used to hear about burnt down because they didn't have electricity or such and such. And I don't even know what batteries they put in there, because that was like 4 years ago and that shit's still going. I'm like, I don't even.
And I told you this before about when I was growing up. Like, we knew our police. We knew our police in our community. They were in our community. They did events in our community just to make sure that you knew them. When, if anything happened, you mention their name and they'll come running to make sure everything's on the up and up.
That was officer friendly.
Officer friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought Officer Friendly was an actual person until I got older and realized they all was a different fucking police officer. But that was when they were coming in and making you feel more comfortable with them and learning who you are, so they knew who you were.
What's interesting though is that does happen like around in my neighborhood now. That does happen. They do know several of them, but it's so many of them that you lose who you know.
Oh, she scared the shit out of me. I was like, I did.
Who was that, Tamika?
Yeah, I didn't even see her on the screen.
7 o'clock.
Oh my God. Give me 1 second. Okay.
You need a lighter? I don't have one. Still seeing my fingers.
I heard my name, but I really was looking at myself. That's some arrogant shit. I didn't even see her standing right there. But yeah, so I definitely agree. And actually, the gentleman next week is a firefighter.
Oh, good.
So we'll be able to talk to him a little bit more because we really, it really that puzzles me. Even though I see the amount of money they're putting into community, Brandon Scott is putting into community, into the arts. I still think the educational system still needs more money than what it has. They're shutting down all these schools. Like the school that I'm at now, it's slated to get shut down in a year. So, but they're still, and then all those children just gonna be taken outside of their neighborhoods and having to catch buses or walk further to get to a school. But
let me ask you this question because I haven't really followed along with the school stuff though, and seeing as though you're back in there. Is attendance down? Is more people still doing virtual than?
Certain school districts are still doing it. I think the younger.
I mean, I know they're all doing it. But everybody couldn't get in to the virtual environment. Some people were forced to go back to in person because they stopped accepting people early.
Well, the forced part was really on the side of parents and guardians.
Well, not in my sister's case. When she put hers in, there was no more room. And she was like, how is there no more room in virtual?
But if I'm not mistaken, she lives on that county city border.
She's in the county.
See, a lot of them, it's being said that it's more students going to those schools. So they were still maintaining and they had a strategy for keeping the people safe. And they have not had as much of a problem with new COVID cases as say the city. So that's the difference.
Living on top of each other.
Right. So with the city, initially, it wasn't a lot of students coming back. But with parents pushing, like, my child needs to go back to school. I don't got time. I got to work. They were starting to, and now it's back to normal. I noticed the classroom sizes are smaller.
That's what I was getting at. That's what I wanted to know. Are they smaller? Yeah, because there's probably spreading people out a little bit
what
more.
I'm used to, what I was worried about, I thought I had like 30, 40 kids in my class. And I've had that before. But
all right, now on the other, now I'm interviewing you on schools because I want to know these things because I had the unfortunate pleasure of arguing with somebody, but it was unfortunate for them, but not for me because I enjoy arguing on Facebook. But I
don't know.
I had the unfortunate argument with somebody who kept saying that how is the school system going to recover? How are their kids going to recover? And I've met, I want to say, upwards of 60 students that failed in-person class and is thriving in the virtual environment. Straight A student.
But look at college though. So you did virtual school for college, right?
Yes.
I'm not that. It depends on what class it is. I wasn't strong at virtual school. And it really determines what your learning style is. You used to working with computers. So that is your system and you don't like being around people.
But see, that's what he said. He doesn't, the person I was arguing with tried to use that as an example because I like working with computers.
No, I'm just saying you're comfortable with it.
Right.
There were a lot of
I'm not downing you for not being comfortable with computers, but what I was going to say is you're living in the 21st century. You better get comfortable.
Yeah, but just understand, there were more families that did not have a tablet or laptop for their child than not.
Understandable.
There were tons of people who did not have that access. There are still people living like that. That wasn't familiar to me because we always had at least one computer in my home. So I never had to go to a library to do homework or anything like that. But there are still people who have to live like that.
That's what I just, I'm not saying that I don't understand that economic issue when it comes to having a computer, but people our age and with the school in our age group, where we are the ones that introduced the computer age to this world, it's not acceptable.
It's not, but it should show you how many people are still living in poverty, because it's still not a lot of people who have access to those things. Now, granted, I've been to schools.
But that's trickery. You know how I feel about that though, because it's kind of trickery and bullshit at the same time, because everybody's child has these iPhones and exactly. So you have no excuse for not knowing the technology.
But it's priority though. It's where does the priority lies? We don't need a laptop. They got laptops at school. But when they realize in school, there are certain schools that, like the smart schools, they have put in their budget where each classroom has a certain amount of laptop for everybody. But there are still school systems that don't have laptops for everybody, where they have a cart where they push around, where they may have like maybe 2 to 3 carts where they push around from classroom to classroom. So your students can use them this time, but this class have to use it this time. Wow. Now, the school that I'm in, even though it is a little impoverished, they still have computers. Now, are the computers outdated? Yes, but they still have the computers. But there were certain districts, certain schools that did not have enough computers to give to all of the students. So there were students, I had a couple students that I know they were on their parents' phone taking a class. And because their calls would come through, and you would see the mother like, he'll be back on in a few minutes. I got to make this call. And that still was a thing. So you prioritize a nice up-to-date phone over a laptop that could help your child in the school system. It's priorities. And I know everybody who's in that situation did not prioritize that, but there's still people who don't have a smartphone. There's still people, the elderly, a lot of them don't have smartphones. If they do, they don't know how to use them, but there's still people who don't have those things. And that's the imbalance. It's still not, that's why I said a lot of that money needs to go to the school system, because the mindset is, if a school isn't doing good, we're going to take funding. And if it continues to do bad, we're going to take all the funding, shut the school down, and separate those children throughout the city. Instead of saying, if this school is doing bad, they need more resources. They need more teachers. They need more smart rooms.
Or finding the problem, because that's what you're supposed to be learning from school in the first place, is how to problem solve. Right. And the fact that we can't do that, we always look to it like we can throw money at an issue without finding out what the problem is first. Can we assess the problem and get to the problem and then see how much money it's going to cost to fix it?
But they nickeling and diming the school system. Really, they are.
I agree. Really, but just like the $23 million that
the government
they put in wrong places. They was put in the wrong. It was allocating to the wrong places. But had the problem been solved, had the problem been diagnosed, see how that
7.9 is allocated towards. I would want to see what percentage will go to the school system.
That'll take me some more reading. I got to read the rest of it first.
But it's probably buried all the way down there.
But I don't believe it is a lot that's going to the school system, not in this particular one. But especially not because they found out that that money was being allocated wrong. That $23 million was being allocated wrong from Maryland. And part of that was supposed to come to Baltimore.
Got less money this time?
Yeah, part of that was supposed to come to Baltimore, but it was allocated incorrectly.
Oh, yeah, when he was giving it to the county.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And until we figure that out, because that should have been, now it's already too late because the money has been dealt out, but you found out the problem after it's already been initiated, instead of problem solving first to see who needs it, so the allocation could have been correct in the first place. And these are people that are, college educated too, that made an error of $23 million. That's not.
It wasn't, but was it really an error? Because that was purposely done.
If you say you allocated the money incorrectly, then that's an error.
You did. I mean, it's an error, but it's a purposely done error. It wasn't like
right now. I don't know, but that's again where the problem solver needs to come in to find out if that was purposely done or was it an incorrect calculation.
It has to be purposely done. Baltimore is one of the biggest cities. Well, it's only 2 cities in Maryland, right?
Yeah, and
everything else is county. But outside of that, I mean, how do you miscalculate what you give to one of your major cities in your state? How do you just overlook the state? I mean, the city. and you giving it to people that live in farm towns and shit like that, where the population is much lower than this actual city. Like, I don't. But that's politics. That's politics. That's a lot of playing around in people's faces, because I'm sure even though that money was allocated, I'm sure Micah got the money. His wife, the governor's wife, and Micah got money. I'm sure Towson got money. I'm sure.
And I'm not sure if you get to see this portion of it. But what was your grade? I don't know if you can answer this question. Tell me you can't. What was your what did you see in the children's grading processes from last year? Like, how were they failing? Were they
failing? But see, part of the reason they're failing is because, like I said in the beginning of the show, we are hemorrhaging teachers right now. Teachers are leaving on Fridays and not coming back Mondays in droves. And that is a major problem, because the class that I've taken over, their teacher got COVID at the beginning of the school year. She was out sick. I guess she came back and then she left. So they've been shuffling around people forever. Even as I signed up as a substitute, they were called, like literally this one school was calling me every week to check on my progress. So they knew before I did that I knew my background check and everything was gonna come back, but they called me before I even got the notice that it had came back. So they are in dire need. They are hiring substitutes in the last month of school. The last month of school, because the children are so far behind. And I can't really go into all of it because I may actually lose my job. But
that's why I said, though, when you can't say something, say something. That's all I want to know. What your experience was as seeing these students come across your classroom. Was it that they? I mean, what was the reason? If they are failing, how can we fix it?
Right. A lot of it is we need to figure out how to retain our teachers. One, but that's going to take us putting them in environments where it is safe. A lot of the problem is, and what I faced this week with parents, like if I say something to a child, I don't need a parent. First of all, I don't need a child who does not have a laptop at home to pull out a cell phone and call a parent. That's what I don't need. And not because I don't want to get in trouble by a parent. It's more so your priority is to make sure ain't nobody getting smart with your child and not realizing that this is why the teachers are leaving. Because I have to defend myself, and my job has become behavioral management versus educating your child. And now there's a module for everything. There's a software where they're only really learning basic. They're learning this new core math, and then everything else is a module. So it's really elementary. There's still standards that they have to learn, but everything has been computerized. And all these people are not ready for that. You need to go back to a teacher writing on a fucking chalkboard.
So the problem would be the computers.
They're trying to make everything digital. They try to put everything in a software.
Before they fix the problem of the students not having the capabilities.
Yep.
So we just solved that problem.
You put this.
That's what 7.9 million should have went to.
You put this type of technology into a school that don't even have the computers to be able to match it. They don't have.
And that's how you. But it's so fun. I'm about to say something that might be funny to some, but it's not really funny. But that's how you will identify the future drug dealers.
And that's what they're doing. So that's why a lot of people feel like this is a setup, because you are you're giving our children enough to say, look what we're doing with your children. But you're not giving them enough to be able to really make it. You have naturally, I felt like I was a naturally smart student. But again, I was in a charter school and then I moved into private schools. I
can protest to that because I hated school. Hated school. The one class I loved was math. The other classes were my profession that I chose, accounting, all having to do with math.
But did they have programming? Did they have programming to push or excel someone like you did? Was there
They
math
did.
competition?
In my particular school, which was Randallstown, they did. They led me in my direction. I took bookkeeping. I took business law. I took accounting. I could tell you 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then went on to become what I set myself on that path to do.
See, my experience, and my deficit is my experience was not in the Baltimore public school system. So I don't know really how things were. I only had to go to Walbrook for one quarter, actually. And I realized that you all had to take a test to get out of school. And I was like, that's dumb. How the fuck is that supposed to determine what you learn?
It's not,
when
because you forget after you get out of the class. Right, especially when you only had classes for one. Say, for instance, your English. When I was in school in Randallstown, English was first and second semester.
Right.
Then third and fourth, you were doing something else. We only had 4 classes a day because we were on that kind of schedule.
And see, I had 8 classes every day.
We used to have that back in middle school, but when we got into high school, they changed it. I think that was actually when we got into high school, they changed it to 4 classes, and then you take the other half of the year to do the other part of that curriculum.
So that and see, I did not, when I was introduced to that I think that was 1 quarter of the year at Walbrook. I was like, Mom, I don't know what the fuck we about to do, but I need to go
it
back
worked for
there.
us because we spent more time in our classes. Like we would, because it was 4 classes, we were in each class an hour and a half versus 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Now we had an hour and a half to learn the curriculum, which I thought was good. But I think I would have excelled if I had to be in school today. I would have excelled in the virtual.
But in today's world, right? But today's world, you would be bored and you would drop out of school because you were bored.
And I don't know. I haven't taken any classes as a kid in this virtual environment, so I don't know what that experience is.
A lot of the students that are dropping out are not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are bored because they're not getting, you sit them in front of and this is what happens. And this is the dumbest thing ever in the world. People are complaining about their child sitting at home on a computer all day. Guess what they're doing in school? They're putting your child in front of a computer. That's what they're doing. So it wasn't that these children were not familiar with this system. It was just that was their only way that they were learning. But like for me, they have my class, they have an English class, so I'm learning their process for their English, I'm learning their process for their math, social studies, all those things. But all of those things are part of a software that they have from a certain company. But they sit the computer in front of your child, and that's how they do their work. There's no more paper or dittos. And they play a movie or video or a video clip where there's a person teaching them. So there's no need really for a teacher anymore, because the software has it built in where there's a lesson plan and someone else is
like an e-learning. It's more e-learning than it is classroom setting.
So when people were complaining about this virtual learning, I was like, that's how your children, that's how your child learning in school already, right?
But I don't know if that's a bad thing, because that would be preparing them for the future, because that's how we do continuing education.
Well, that is now going to be the now standard, so there will be no more snow days.
That's what I'm saying. That's how we learn. I mean, that's how, as grown-ups, that's how we learn now when we're trying to learn something new. Continuing education is not always a person present unless you're at a seminar.
But again, that model does not work for me. I need to be in a classroom with a teacher. Even if it's partially digital, if I submit my stuff on the computer, I can do that. But I need to be in a classroom. That does not work for every child to be in their own little bubble. Some children have excelled, and I can see those children. But those group of children are this small, and everybody else is over here, where it's huge like this. A lot of your children, they have attention deficit disorders. They can't sit in front of a computer all day. Now, them being in a computer where they're in a classroom with other students on a computer, that works for a lot of the students, because there's still a teacher walking around being able to identify the work that they're doing. When they were virtually learning, the course would go on for a certain period of time, and then they would be set alone to go do the work on the same type of software that they're using right now in the classroom, or they have been already using. The difference is there's a teacher now monitoring them. And that's how they really retain the information, because I can see when you switch over to YouTube or you playing a video game. I couldn't see that when you were virtual. And parents was just leaving their children at home, which I understand because they got to work, but there was nobody really monitoring a lot of those children. But a lot of these children are failing. They are failing, and the school system does not want them to be left
And it's so
behind.
funny because this isn't new. You know, this process of teaching isn't new. Colleges have been doing it for the better part of almost 3 decades, and this implementation is what sucked.
Yeah, well, I learned in college. I tried to take a history class in college. I failed it. One, because I wasn't motivated. But I
was a straight A student.
The person I am now, I can take an online class and be responsible.
Right.
But when I was in my early 20s, you want me to do what on my own time? I was that student that was turning all their papers in at the end of the semester, and hopefully I would pass it. And my teacher was like, I got to put you in a class, because
that's so funny, because my last one is when I took a course at the University of Phoenix, of course, and it was marketing. I completed all of the work.
Yeah, do your syllabus. Yeah,
before class even started. So because I was busy,
certain classes I can do that.
I had my day job and I had this. I was busy. I couldn't sit around and wait for the instruction. What helped though was I was able, stuff that I got stumped on and I could not finish.
Right.
I could have a conference with the teacher and say to him, I need help on this area, because this is the part that you are not at in class, but I'm finished most of my work and I understand what I'm doing. And he helped me right then and there, which is how I aced the courses. I didn't even, he was like, just turn all your work in and I'll see what the, whatever their board was, says about you having to finish the course. Because I actually got out.
But some students can do that.
Yeah.
There are some students that, I'm telling you, that ain't me. I need you in the classroom being able to see that I did not turn in that work. That whole waiting for an email, like, we're missing 5 assignments from you, Mr. Couser. Okay, I gotta see you. So I'm like, all right, okay, you'll get them.
I mean, because if you like me and don't like to be sitting in classrooms and lectures are boring to you,
I love it. That's how I learn, because I'm a visual learner. But the computer, even though I've used computers forever, I've always had a computer in my house. I don't enjoy sitting at a computer. That's why even this process on a radio show, it was hard for me at first. I really had to figure out some stuff, and I was forced to get this studio because we left our studio, so I was forced to get a studio just so I could put myself back on a schedule. I couldn't. I'm not that. I need the structure. I'm a person. I can't even watch church on a computer. I need to be in a building. I'm not that. I need discipline, and maybe I'm aware of it, but that ain't my learning style.
Well, I don't like people, so you know.
But that's what I said. You would thrive, and there are students like you that thrive because they didn't have to worry about the teacher yelling at one student and taking up all the class time. They could learn on their own time at their own speed. Some students, it's tons of students that never turned in any work over the course of the pandemic. There are students that never showed up to the class. There are students, behavior models did not change, and after it actually got worse. But a lot of children need to be in a classroom, and not just because their parent got to go to work, but because they need that discipline. But right now, the behavior, the attention problems, they are horrible. And I'm in elementary. So
now we've assessed the problem. We assessed what the problem is.
Right.
What is the next step outside of forcing them back in the classroom to fix that problem?
I think they need to really go through like a fine comb and see what children can thrive in that environment. and put them together. And what children do they need? Like they need hands-on.
Because I'm trying to,
one-on-one.
with us doing this assessment right now, what I'm trying to figure out is how we prevent the problem of overcrowding from returning.
Well,
them still being less educated than they were, because we should let the children that are thriving thrive versus the ones that need a little bit more attention.
Two things happen. The woman, the CEO of the school, Baltimore City school system right now, took us from those small classrooms that they were starting to put our children in and put them back into larger classrooms. So you have special ed mixed in with IEPs, mixed in with behavioral problems, mixed in with level 2, level 3, mixed in with geniuses. So
that's the problem. Because the geniuses should be able to turn into something a little bit extracurricular, like a tutor. They should be able to come and help those that are not on the same level as them get to where they are. And that would take a little bit of that burden off the teacher too, because they don't have to be the one that problem solves.
Yeah, but what happens is because they do that right now for the foreign exchange students. So a lot of Hispanic students are in that school. And what happens is if you have an English-speaking Spanish student, they match them up with a English-speaking student. What happens is that child begins to lose interest in class because they realize they are now working. They're doing the shit that the teacher is doing. Because I have a student in my class right now that does not write English. Like when he can understand me because I know some Spanish, but in terms of him turning in his work, he's turning that shit in Spanish. So I have to translate that. I have to put my Google Translate in so he can understand everything.
Speechify help you with that.
Right, but that's what I'm using. But Google has that as well.
Yeah, it's through them too. Yeah.
Yeah, but and that's what I just know how to use that faster. But I've gotten used to doing that. But that hurts the smart kid because now the smart kid is not. They're doing things that's not moving them forward. Because when do you address what their educational needs are?
No, but that's what I'm saying. No, the smart kid is the one that's not in that class with you no more. Right. They've already finished that class, but they've now become the tutor of the people that fell behind in that class.
That's middle school, high school. Because like elementary school, that's not a thing because they're in the same classroom all day anyway. But in middle school, high school is when they begin to change classes. But what happens is middle school is still the same group that they're with when they change classes. It's not until they get to high school where they can separate.
I'm gonna let you end the show though, because this is something we need to formulate into a whole entire show for discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going on 2.5 hours now.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize it. But yeah, I gotta get home before I can get my key. I can get a key made because I lost my key to my house. But this has been the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Like maybe this is why I'm back in the classroom because it gotta be a fucking reason. Because this is.
I'm glad you're back in the classroom because I do have a lot. I mean, we're getting ready to elect a new governor, and some of this stuff needs to be talked about. I mean, I'm looking at Wes Moore. I'm not looking at Theory. I'm not. I'm saying again, but I'm not.
I'm saying Zero is out. I'm saying, and as quiet as it's kept, Mr. West is in the building that I'm in right now. So I'm just saying, I'm not looking at him.
I mean, when he came on the station a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And
I hope he's not watching right now.
I dug him. I mean.
Yeah, but
and then to find out that
I think he's playing up his gay card, and I don't like that.
What's that?
I don't like that. He's trying to play up that gay card, and I don't like shit like that.
Oh, explain. I didn't hear this.
Well, I'm just saying, like, and this is my personal experience with him because I've reached out to him before, and he's playing on that card of being the gay candidate.
Wes Moore? Well, who? Who are you talking about? Don't call. Wait, Wes is married.
This has been the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on radio.com. We are here. So I'll see you next week.